Hi everyone, Mike Moo here. I've had the iPhone 15 Pro Max since Friday. Today is now Wednesday. And the day that I got it, the next day I was to attend my sister-in-law's wedding, and I used the iPhone Pro Max for a good part of most of the wedding. I was there, of course, just as a guest, but I was able to get a bunch of really nice shots in between while being a guest and helping my wife, who's the maid of honor, with the activities that needed to be taken care of during a normal wedding. So I had a good chance to go ahead and try it out. Now, the main impressions that I got from the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and this is the natural titanium, is that when I put it in my case, I didn't notice much of anything different. The only main things that really stood out to me was, number one, I now have USB-C on the bottom, so I was able to use just about everything that I had packed with me, including a USB-C hub for downloading the footage and also for connecting HDMI without having to use a proprietary adapter. And the other major thing was the 5x lens, optical zoom lens that is available right over here. So those are the two main things that stood out. Everything else, I might as well felt like I was using my previous phone, which is the 14 Pro Max. And this one is the 14 Pro Max in the purple, which I am literally sending it out today. So that's why I wanted to share some thoughts with me. So the big upgrade, of course, is USB-C. If that is something that is significant enough for you that you want to be able to just get rid of all your Lightning gear and all the Lightning accessories, or if you're jumping over from Android, this feels like it is the perfect time to, because all of your USB-C items are going to work well with this. Now, the cable that came with the iPhone, unfortunately, is only USB 2. So you're not going to get the nice transfer speeds that you would get that is supported by USB-C 3, which actually gives you up to 10 gigabits per second transfer speed. So it's going to be significant. You're going to want to use the faster cables when you're transferring data in and out. Now, because I got the 1 terabyte model, I actually did not run out of space while recording the little video clips that I did during that day, and I had plenty of storage. The other thing I noticed was that it actually is nicer feeling in the hand. That's because the edges are a little bit more rounded. Now, I had some other questions. Well, do I notice that the bezels are a little bit thinner? It's very, very slight, and actually in my case, I don't notice that big of a difference. Again, as a matter of fact, having it in my Peak Design case, it almost fits precisely and perfectly such that I don't actually need to get a new case, at least, or I could just wait for them. The cutout's a little bit smaller on the 14 Pro Max cases for that multi-function mute button switch, which is also a nice little addition. So if I had to put a third place thing that I noticed the difference between the 14 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max is that this button here now has multiple different functions. So that's one other difference for me. It's just starting out. And then finally, another one is the processing speed. It does feel a little bit more zippier when doing things, but that could just be because I upgraded to the latest iOS on both of the phones during my last bits of testing. So if I were you, and if I had an iPhone 12 Pro Max or earlier, now would be the time to upgrade. If I had 13 Pro Max or 14 Pro Max, if you don't really need the USB-C and you are not a real power user, you're not using a lot of cinematography features, then I would say, hey, I would hold off on it. But for me, the USB-C alone is something that would make a big difference in my life, since I use multiple different phones and from multiple different manufacturers, and they all use USB-C. And also the fact that I can offload storage really quickly off of the USB-C 3 transfer speeds on here. I know some people talk about using AirDrop, and sometimes that is a hit or miss, and it really depends on your Wi-Fi network and where you're at. There's nothing that really beats a straight up direct connection via cable. As far as battery life is concerned, I didn't notice much of a difference. I did notice that because it is a new phone, that I had more capacity than my 14 Pro Max, which unfortunately has degraded down to about 90%. And that's only after using it for roughly 1 year. There were some people talking about overheating issues. I have not experienced those yet, but I have not pushed this phone to the very limit. You may get to those limits if you play a lot of video games on your phone. That is not something that I tend to do on this small little phone. However, it's not that I'm not open to it. It's just that there has not been enough games on here that I felt worthwhile to go ahead and try on here. It plays all the current high-end games perfectly fine. There's going to be some new features that are added later on, probably late at the end of the year or early next year, that I won't be able to test out. But I am really interested in seeing how the 3D imaging setup is going to work out, and if that is in fact going to replace any of the 3D imaging cameras that I currently have right now. So that remains to be seen. But the main reason and the real reason why I upgraded is because I am part of the iPhone upgrade program. And that basically means that I have a fixed cost every single month. It's financed through Citizen One, and they're the only choice if you're going to get it directly from Apple. So it comes out to be about $2.83 daily, and it's just a fixed amount. And every year I can upgrade to the next phone and basically pay any differences if I need to, or if I just wanted to keep the phone, I would just keep paying for the whole 2 months, and there's no interest financing. You can find details about this on Apple directly, and that's the only way to get that iPhone upgrade program that I'm talking about, is the Apple one. I don't know anything about the carrier plans or the contract plans that you would get if you get it through the carrier, as I get it specifically through Apple. So no matter what, I am still going to be upgrading to the new one every single year because I'm paying the same price anyway, and if I'm going to do that, I might as well upgrade. There's one major disappointment, and that is that the reflections coming off the camera lenses on here have not improved at all from what I've expected on, or what I had on the 14 Pro Max and the 13 Pro Max. And that is, in certain conditions, as I'm video recording, or maybe even taking a picture, you see reflections of the lenses inside in certain cases. And that's something that I felt like would be totally unacceptable if this was specifically only a camera or video camera. Obviously, I use it for way more than that. Camera is just one of the functions that I use every day, but that still bothers me. Apparently, it doesn't bother enough people that they don't want to upgrade. And apparently, it doesn't bother Apple enough that they did anything about it for this new version of the 15 Pro Max. So that is still a concern for me, and it still tends to, I feel like, ruin footage from certain angles. Now, there are ways to alleviate that, and that includes rigging it up. But if I'm going to do that, I'm just going to bring my whole camera, like the one that I'm recording right now on, which is the Sony a7 IV. So that is my biggest disappointment so far with the 15 Pro Max. All right, if you like videos like this, please give this a like, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you next one. Thank you for watching. And if you're interested in seeing what I recorded with this, you can check out my link down below. It's called Victoria and Bill's Wedding. Keep in mind that the processing of the footage that went to a slideshow program called Animoto, and that severely compresses the footage even more. And not only that, it also digital zooms into the footage, but the fact that I was able to get decent results off of the 5x optical zoom was good. That is an improvement from the 3x zoom, in my opinion, especially since the Galaxy S23 Ultra has a nice 10x zoom. All right, that's it. Those are my first few thoughts. I'm obviously going to be using this every day still, and those are just the main things that I have going on with it. Okay, that's it. Again, thanks for watching.